So,
unfortunately.
yeah. So I've been reading so many stupid comments on what tough guys are when it comes to professional wrestling, when it comes to professional wrestling fans commentating on jiu-jitsu competitions that happen during the weekend with guys who are highly trained at every sort of level. I'm here talking with BJ because BJ is also like me and competed. He competed in sports in his high school. He also practiced judo in his
I mean, I
20s.
competed in middle school sports. I didn't do much in
Yeah,
high school, but I did skateboard and stuff. I did judo later.
yeah.
I was trying to do it competitively, but I ran out of money. I was invited
That's
to
what
fight in
happens.
one local cage match though, and I
Yeah.
decided that I think they just wanted to put me on. They wanted to put the local sports reporter on the card and to see him get so everybody would want to see him get beat up. So I bowed from that. But
Um,
no, I haven't done anything competitive.
yeah.
But we're talking about. I mean, a lot of this has come up because of the Bubba Ray Dudley comments toward John Moxley. I want to put something out here. So when Moxley he had a competition where he got the award, right? And it was
Yeah.
basically so I was saying something to somebody. I was trying to get something out for the local Cincinnati TV affiliate I worked for at the time because Moxley's from Cincinnati and the tournament happened in Cincinnati. And basically they said, no, he doesn't want any notice of this because basically he just showed up. He signed up day of, just didn't know what was going on with it. And he got through a couple people, and it was nothing, not a big deal. It was two people in the entire class. The
Yeah.
reason that's out there at all is because Moxley's the one who put it out there because he thought the way people were, putting him out there as the next Gracie, you know, was kind of ridiculous. But Mox legit is a tough guy because he can do two things. He can beat you up, and he can also take loads and loads and loads and loads of pain. And he came from a
We've
legit
seen
area
this.
that Cincinnati where he is just somebody that you didn't mess with. I think he
Yeah.
was somebody who learned to get tough the hard way, which he took the beatings and then he just would learn to deliver them back. And those were always the guys that I was afraid to get into tangles with, is the guys that you really didn't care if they got hurt.
I and my issue with all the he's a blue belt. He also started his training at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas when he lived out there. I think Brian was the one who got him into Extreme Couture. Really great gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, Couture. If you think about it, it's not Couture like in the fashion sense. Although Randy Couture is a very fashionable man with his scarves and all his beads that he wears, but it's one of the top training gyms in Las
Randy's
Vegas,
one of the
which
greatest, if not the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Maybe the
yeah,
greatest catch wrestler of all time. I believe
one
that
of
was
the
his
best,
background.
man. Yeah,
And
what
it
college
that's just
wrestling and catch.
yes, this is somebody who was a legit NCAA champion and he was a legit professional champion. And he, I mean, who knows? I mean, Brock Lesnar, if he hadn't slipped, fallen back, or if he would have fought Brock 6 months earlier, who knows if
Yeah,
Brock would ever beat him?
I
There's
mean,
this,
if
but
if you watch like the heavyweight competition and you see Brock Lesnar loses in a couple of NCAA championships.
yeah,
Uh, to guys who don't look that big. And one of the first guys who destroyed Brock Lesnar in the UFC ring was Cain Velasquez.
yeah,
And my whole problem with this stuff is styles make fights. You don't know who you're going against, especially in those competitions. Because I competed in Naga, I
yeah.
competed in Mundials for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I competed in World. I know I said Mundials. It makes me sound international, but yeah, I competed at a pretty high level,
Yes. You
and
were at a very, very high
I
level.
I've lost I lost in the first round, and sometimes I've gone to the hole. I've gone to the hole. I won a lot of golds in Naga. It's different from where you're at, and then also a lot of people don't really see what we do in the gym, and like there was like this really really stupid tweet out there. Unfortunately, by one of my good friends, yeah, I'm calling you out there, about calling out Moxa just 3-7, blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, Mox is a guy who has to wrestle. He travels around the world. He trains when he can trains, and he's doing these competitions, going in there cold.
Yeah.
We're all going in there cold. We don't know who we're gonna face unless you have one of those like really weird coaches who makes you like scout who's actually going to be there in the different schools, and that does not happen.
Let's put Mox into a perspective of comparing to some other people that have tried MMA and pro wrestling. Mox has done pro wrestling. He's over 20 years into this. He's at 22, 23 years. So he's not only had that rigor on his body, he did it with a WWF schedule, he did it with an AEW schedule, and yet he continues to do this on the side. He did G1. He is a tough son of a bitch. And he not only did that, he's doing that while also training in MMA. CM Punk had issues doing this because of his body breaking down. A lot of people give him shit for going into UFC and trying to fight, but and there's a lot of people talking about personality wise, but the thing is that, you know, to take the rigors of the pro wrestling business, which is one of the hardest things on your body you can do, maybe sports wise, the only thing I could think about it close is probably motocross. There's something that's so hard on your body. I think that you also, and then to see that he's actually having success with this, it's a thing. Like, and to put Lesnar in the concern, I'm not saying anything to denigrate Lesnar here but he did wrestling for 2, 3, 4 years, and then he went into UFC, and he was very much at the time working a lot. He was very young, and he did not have that really much time in the ring to get the crap beat out of him or the long-term wear. That came later when he got back in. But that, I think, you know, I'm not taking, I mean, obviously he's going to always be, I mean, you can't take away from his record or anything like that, but he also had the benefit of being able to walk away early and then go do MMA afterwards. And obviously his record as a wrestler is tough, but, you know, but getting back to the question.
One of the guys that came up in the whole thing, well, you know, I started my training under Master Josh Barnett. Yeah, the War Master, the babyface assassin, which is a nickname he hates to this day. So I kind of call him that from time to time, babyface. But you know, he talked about in his book, which you guys should definitely read. He talked about how he did training for pro wrestling, and it was the hardest thing because you have to go in a mindset where you're doing this to preserve not only your body, but your opponent's body, but working in a way to make it look real without absolutely killing the opponent. And that takes a hell of a lot of physical body control, mental. That's a different mentality when you go into the ring.
Yes.
And, you know, my other good friend, Shayna Baszler, she also commented on that. And there's like, if you've never trained, like if you see all the comments, right? If you never train, you see all the people that like make the homophobic jokes, that joke about like, oh, what a loser, I bet whatever. Well, I would be able to, because people are equivalating like, oh, I'm a bigger guy. Oh, Bubba Ray's a big fat guy, a big powerful guy. He should be able to take. I'm like, no, you can't do this. You can't do this equivalence of like where this size and the fake pro wrestling decides who's really a tough guy or not a tough guy. And I say this with all due respect. I have commented before on John Moxley's jiu-jitsu. You know, he's a one-stripe blue belt. That's what he is. And not everybody is going to be a killer right away. It takes a long time to get good at jiu-jitsu. Like I didn't really start to get good after about like the belt 6
system
years.
Too is it also each martial art is different. You know, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu system, you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu is very similar to judo, but they have completely different belt systems. And you know, in judo you can kind of get up to your brown belt fairly quickly, but then the real hard stuff is becoming to get your black belt. That's where you consider to really know what you're doing. And in jiu-jitsu it's a little bit different. So a blue belt, you know, the equivalent in judo, it means much more in jiu-jitsu just because the emphasis there is you are working your way to black belt. In jiu-jitsu, it's more of an even kind of, which I like the judo system the most, maybe just because my bias is showing, but I also believe that I also believe that the jiu-jitsu system, also the belt leads probably means a little bit more at that stage because it takes a little bit more work to get there. At least that's just how generally compared to that's how I did it through judo. That was just I mean, other dojos and other judo systems may have their own thing, but you know, talking about the toughest guys, Mox is definitely up there. I don't I always think of this thing where there's always this thing where the guys are tough and they do table bumps and power moves. They're tough, but it's just that's never really been the thing that works out. I mean,
The
obviously, there's guys like Vader and John Tenta were
yeah,
legit badasses. There was um, the Haku's the guy who's probably the most well-known tough guy. Um,
yeah,
the guy I think people should really talk about is Rick Rude. Him and Haku got in a couple brawls together one time, with a bar full of Marines. And, and there was always a similar thread to this. This happened with his Jesse Barr incident, which I happened to be friends with somebody who was there that night. And this happens before with it is like everyone's having a good time, and then somebody says something and they won't leave Haku alone or me alone, and then what happens is then a racial slur gets thrown and
of
maybe a
course.
punch, and then a whole platoon of people gets wrecked. And it's he just is legitimately a guy who just he from everybody I understood, he just was a really respectful, kind, nice guy. And but he was not, you don't mess with him. That's the kind of guys you don't want to mess with.
Yeah,
Rick Rude very
Haku.
much. Rick Rude knocked the Ultimate Warrior out backstage with one punch. He not only that, he wrestled a match with a broken back and finished it in Japan. You didn't mess with him either. He came out of the Minnesota system, and that really forged you into steel where it broke you.
Yeah,
Um, I think John Tenta was another really tough guy people don't talk a lot about.
uh,
Um,
legit
he,
wrestler, legit sumo.
yeah, he
Really
was a
nice guy
legit,
too.
yeah, he was but yeah, that's those guys never, nobody ever really challenged him. That was one of the things. I think the Steiners are kind of overblown a little bit just because they got away with a lot. But they were
Yeah.
very tough guys, and they took beatings, but they were also tough, and they kind of bullied people with it. Um,
Uh,
Ty,
until they
the
ran into
duct
one
taping.
guy on the independent. Shout out to you, man. I think that there's a disconnect between toughness and actual legit like competitiveness. There's a difference in there, and you cannot question how tough these guys are based on how they do on a jujitsu competition where you don't know like the skills of the guy he's going against, and when the guy he went against and ended up being one of the top ranked grapplers in the state for jiu-jitsu. So
Wow.
you're not gonna pull off that because you pull off like an inverted triangle on Mox, who was working top control trying to get to side control. He got locked in the inverted triangle, Mox to tap because you're either gonna go to sleep or you're gonna tap out. You're gonna tap out. Everybody taps. It's not
Yeah.
embarrassing. Stop
I mean,
letting pro
everyone has
wrestling
to do it. I
ruin
mean,
your.
I trained one day doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I also,
Yeah,
because, you have the ground element also in judo, and, everybody has to, everyone gets wrapped up because you're also, thing too is when you're training with other people, they have to learn how to do the moves, and that means you get to
yeah,
be the crash test dummy.
yeah,
And, but there's nothing wrong with that. You're gonna lose, I mean,
yeah,
I gained a lot of respect when I was practicing just because like I was the lanky taller guy, not
yeah,
tall, but I was 5'11", I was lanky. Um and my body size, judo favors people with a wrestling style body with a lower center of
yeah,
gravity. And and I was and it was like I just worked my way through it. I learned to do the fundamentals and I still could do okay. And it was
yeah,
just I just went along, and I worked through injuries. I had busted ribs, I broke my wrist. My 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 judo coach broke my wrist being nervous,
yeah,
even though he'd been in front of 50, 60,000 people before, he wasn't nervous for that. He told me later that he always got more nervous in front of crowds of 20 people. So we were doing a self-defense demonstration in front of a women's group in a small
yeah.
town in Ohio, and he got a little nervous and ended up snapping my wrist by mistake,
Cool.
and then which was kind of funny. But
Yeah,
and he apologized to me profusely after it. But there's just a lot of things that come into play with this. Like I always hate people seeing the UFC and believing that's the ultimate measure of tough guys, because that whole
yeah,
the octagon, the mat, that it just the styles and the environment change. You put
yeah,
people in different styles and environments. I think it gets to also the overwhelming. What we're saying, what we're saying here too is also it's trying to figure out who this tough guy stuff's kind of bullshit. It's
yeah.
like there's always,
there's always going to be someone tougher than you out there. I always bring this up because my coach, first I trained at the CSW in Fullerton, and then eventually I went to the one that was closer to my house. That's Millennia MMA and Rancho Cucamonga and in Chino Hills. My my jujitsu, really great jujitsu coaches there, Romy Aram, uh, Batiste Mansouri at the time. One of the guys that was a great fighter. One of the great fight, great guy too. Uh, uh, my coach was my coach was of course Georgie Karakanian, former champion in Tachi Palace fights, former champion in Strike Force. One of my training partners there is of course Lorenz Larkin. You've seen him fight in Bellator and UFC. But I'm bigger than both of those guys, and both of those guys just make me feel like we're not the same class of human. If
Yeah.
like when I roll with Georgie, okay, Georgie fights at featherweight. Featherweight's about 145. At the time when I was training with them, I was a solid 250, 255, 260, and I was doing a lot of Olympic lifting then, so I was happy. I was a big hulking monster. BJ, I just send you the picture of me and BJ Penn together. You'll see how big I
Okay.
was back
I
then.
want to see that.
I'll
I
send that
like
to you.
the.
But I'll send it to you right now. Like so, like it definitely size doesn't matter because
Oh yeah. Well, there's just
when I
some
was
people that there's just a difference between people that also have the talent, but also do this 24 hours a day.
yeah
And they have the mindset, and that's the thing is I admire people the most who can take a lot of punishment or deal with pain and get their job done. That's kind of the way that I've had to work through 2 3 kind of painful injuries over the last year. And one was a dislocated pelvis, the other's been uh some reoccurring back issues, but dislocated ribs and stuff.
oh
But
yeah
which can't stay in the damn spot. But good lord, dude, you're Jackson this photo. I mean, BJ Penn's kid's awesome, um but just but the thing is just that everything's different for everybody. And
yeah
and so when you're taking on a professional fighter, I mean, these guys are going to just you can't. It's like I pride myself on being a tough guy. I can take pain, and I don't mean a tough guy, but I can work hard and I'll work through stuff. But it's like if
yeah
you're taking on a professional fighter, they're going to render you incapacitated. You're either going to be unconscious or you're going to have broken limbs. You're not going to be able to fight back. These
yeah
guys are basically human weapons, and I think that goes for trained boxers, that goes for Muay Thai experts, that goes for professional
those were
athletes across the
Taekwondo black
board.
belts. Yeah,
Yes,
well,
it goes
football
for
players. I'm not gonna mess with
football.
football
I mean,
players.
I wouldn't. There's a lot of baseball players I wouldn't mess with. I mean, I've
Oh
seen
man,
these guys,
no,
and they're. I mean, and they're generally the nicest guys in the world. Are worried about that stuff, but it's like
yeah,
you're a professional athlete that puts you at a different level of athletic capability. And now that doesn't mean that you're naturally a tough guy. I know some professional wrestlers who probably couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag, but at the same time, somebody who's doing it, at a level of 40, 50 weeks a year and just doing it on TV and can do the kind of athletic things you see, they're at a different level of
yeah,
from
of
people that are
athlete.
on the internet trying to, they're on a different level than somebody who's been tired for 10, 15 years and chatting on a podcast. They're on a
Yeah,
different level for somebody who's commenting on Twitter posts about somebody's MMA record. And that's the thing that gets me is just like, just be kind of humble and take lessons from some of these guys, just be humble and
yeah, I,
I understand shit talking can be fun, but at the same time, it's just okay. I mean, the thing is,
yeah,
and the thing Meltzer mentioned about all this stuff with Mox and Dudley is that this was all one. This is an AEW pay-per-view week, so obviously that's probably the biggest driver here for Bubba because now he'll hope Tony Khan gets asked about his stupid remarks. And the other part is that this also gives cover for Tommy Dreamer. He was having a lot of bad news. He had a rough week. He got laid off, and then
he
a
has a
lot of
rough day
allegations came
today.
out. Yeah, I didn't see what happened today, but what happened today?
Uh, Basically today a bunch of Tommy Dreamer made a lot of claims about like, oh, how he would have booked people, and then TNA came out and said no, he did not have those plans for these people.
Wow.
I think that what we're doing here, and I'm putting this before the episode. This is of course my debut episode of SMMAES. We are talking about. I'm here with Dr. John Foye. He's gonna talk with me, and I'm gonna show him for the first time one of the best fights of all time. We're talking about tough guys. We're talking about pro wrestlers. Don Frye versus Yoshihiro Takayama. That's what you're gonna hear after this talk between me and BJ. But I loved having this like tough guy talk about what is a tough guy, what goes into that, and what is the bullshit surround. You know, we call it this in the particular forums. You know, shout out to you, Sherdog. We call it bullshido, of the guys coming on and like talking up their selves as though I used to go to the Kumite that was in the middle of the forest and then come back with a trophy at the end. Uh, that's a real story, by the way. But I just wanted to thank my fellow martial arts
I
practitioner
gotta ask
BJ.
you this. I gotta ask you, Larry,
What's
just
up, man?
because you always have the guy who wants to live the montage from the Jean Claude
Yeah.
Van Damme or Rocky movie. How many of those guys did you see in the gym, and how well did they do after the first day?
Oh man.
Give me the tough
So
training. I want you to wrap a stake around my leg and have German shepherds chase me through the woods. Just how well did
oh
those guys
man.
last?
So you get those guys that say, I'm a tough guy, I can do it. And then when you go on the mat with them, they're usually, I mean, you've seen them come in the judo gym. They'll like try to like they'll try to ragdoll you. They'll try to do that, and then like if you give them like the positional, like we do a lot of positional training. So you give the guy top control in in sparring, and then he'll. One time, a guy bounced my head like a basketball, and I did not like that. I didn't like that at all.
Oh,
So
that would have pissed me
what
off.
I what I did. This is a really big. He's like probably was like 6'5", really really strong guy, but Donkey Kong didn't know anything. So what I did, this is not me trying to sound like a tough guy. What I did is, you sweep, you do the sweep, you get top control again. And then I get on top, and then I go to side control, and then my hand slides up the middle of his back, and I put pressure on his chest. And then I get what's called, you know this, it's called into like scarf position in judo, right?
Yes.
So I put my hand up on his back, and I bring his chest up as I put my hip on him, and slowly the air goes out of his chest, and I hear that wonderful sound, and he taps me right away. Uh,
Yeah.
the feeling, this is gonna make me sound sadistic. The feeling, and hearing him lose the breath from his body, as I put zero effort and zero physicality, and just laying on top and just position myself in the right position to get that out of him. And he tried bullying another guy, and then eventually one of the higher belt guys, because this is what happens. They come in, and you have to, you know, maybe that guy goes to sleep, wakes up. You do the thing where you have to get the blood down from his legs. He gets up, says thank you. No, doesn't say thank you. Gets up, gets his stuff, walks out the gym. Didn't see him again.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I
This
saw it,
is
stuff like that. Well, not, you were at a much more larger gym than I was, but you did some stuff like that, and
yeah,
that's why I just tell people when you're doing martial arts, this isn't a tough guy contest. It's a journey, and it's as much spiritual and mental and educational as it's
yeah,
physical or learning a fighting skill. And
uh,
like the stuff that I got the most out of it was probably helping my concussions.
yeah.
Pat Tanaka was my coach, and he was showing me
Orient
things I could
Express,
do to help. Yes, that was me. He was my judo coach. A lot of people don't know his father's Duke Kamaro.
Kiyomu, Duke
Yeah,
Kamada.
Duke
Oh,
Kamura. Duke Kamura. I'm sorry, I
okay.
butchered his name, but his dad was Duke Kamura, who wrestled in the United States for a long time, and did a
Oh
lot. I
man.
mean, Pat was telling me stories about him and his family having to hide out at the police station all night because of near riots after wrestling shows. This as like a 4, 5, 6 year old child.
Yeah.
And he was able to show me things like exercises, different things you could do. He really turned me on to like the Eastern philosophy of,
Yeah.
and things like that when it came to like taking a
Um,
physical approach. And it really, I had a lot of concussion issues because of skateboarding, BMX, football, things like
extreme
that.
sports
And
BJ, man.
yeah, I was a Gen X kid. We didn't have anything. So if you went outside,
Yeah.
you were probably trying to jump a bike off something. It was what
Fact.
everybody did. And, not everybody could afford a helmet. And so that was just, and I crashed a lot. I was a
Uh,
smaller kid at the time, and it's harder. And at the time, BMX bikes were 60, 65 pounds sometimes, maybe
yeah.
40, 50 if you're lucky. Now they're 25, 26. And so you come down with all that weight on you, it's a lot. Like look at Matt Huffman.
I
I mean, he's had over 200 broken
I
bones, but
I
the thing
definitely
I'm saying is
feel
just that.
that.
But the thing is, it's
Oh,
just like
sorry.
to me, it changed my life in a lot of ways because it
Yeah.
gave me an outlet to find a way that I could heal some of this, and using breathing, using meditation, and and then also going to doctors figured, hey, if you can get better, it's not
Yeah.
all just a dark road and CTE at the end of it.
It's,
So luckily I didn't, I don't know if I've gotten that point or not. I guess we'll find out in
well,
my later years, but it, it was just, it showed me that you could improve, and that's a
yeah.
blessing. That was a huge blessing for me.
Yeah. Because I grew up doing Taekwondo from like the age of 9 to the age of 18. I did full contact competitions. A lot of what I learned from martial arts is discipline. And then what learned a
That is
lot,
the most important thing to take away from it, I think.
it's discipline, and it's like belief in yourself and not getting frustrated at losing, because you're always going to lose. There's always going to be somebody better than you on that day,
Yeah.
and there's no shame in it as long
After
as
a while
you
too
try.
is, and it's like, also another thing was you don't really look down at other martial arts. That's
No.
one thing I hate about the MMA conversation is, and listening to Rogan with his blunt hanging out of his mouth explain why, you know, this is better, and that's not martial arts, and that's a shame because he's a great martial artist.
He
But
was a
I
legit black belt taekwondo, competitive taekwondo,
yeah,
like
I mean, he even
literally.
said he just got to a point where he just couldn't hurt people to the level of in these tournaments. And that's what turned him
Yeah.
off to it. And that's something I really admire that he done. I don't see eye to eye with him politically on a lot, but to me, that was a
I
great
used
thing. It
to.
tells me a lot about him as a human being.
I,
But,
I used to see eye to eye with Joe Rogan back in 2010, but things happened.
yeah,
Um,
but anyway, yeah,
yeah,
that's just,
that's a
to
whole.
me, it's just the tough guy conversation is just,
Yeah.
it's just ludicrous. It's fun to have and talk about, but when you have people trying to include themselves in it, that's where it gets a
Uh,
little
I
ridiculous.
never want to include myself in that. But yeah, you're definitely gonna hear me talk to a tough guy. I'm talking to a tough guy right now. By the way, happy late Father's Day, BJ.
Well, thank you,
Uh,
sir. I appreciate it.
you
I'm
know, I
not a
always
tough guy, dude.
I always
I
consider, dads to be tough guys because, they gotta be the head of the household. They gotta do all this stuff. And, you're just somebody that I look up to, man. Yeah, I'm also gonna talk to John Foye on this episode. Dr. John Foye, sorry. Really great guy. He does Muay Thai. Like I'm saying, guys, the Muay Thai, whatever martial arts you do, and I always
Muay
recommend this to
Thai is
people.
wonderful. Kickboxing. I mean, if I
Yeah,
could go back, I would do both. I would probably add boxing, because it was stand up and I could work a
yeah.
heavy bag, and that's
Oh
like great
man,
exercise.
what was the thing I did as a kid that's always like crazy to me. So I did Kali. That's the Filipino knife fighting.
Oh
I
wow.
did that, right? And then like you have to do it with like we have a marker, and then also did Arnie's. And the thing with Arnie's is you're practicing with sticks. I know you people have seen Arnie's. You've seen Steve Blackman destroy people with those sticks.
Oh yeah.
So when we do the sparring, you don't
Another
have like
tough guy.
pads on. You just like, ugh. But I just want to say this as far as the tough guy conversation. Um, Tough guys come in different packages. One of the toughest people I know, one of the hardest fighters I know, Jay Fowler. Please, the link will
Absolutely.
be in the episode description. The great Fowler.com. Go to thegreatfowler.com. Jay's going through some things. Please donate. When I think about tough guys, and I think about Mox, one of Mox's good friends, one of Cody's good friends is, of course, Jay Fowler. BJ,
Absolutely.
who's
Thanks for
tougher than
saying
Jay?
that.
Who's
There's
tougher than
nobody.
Jay?
He's kicked out on the Grim Reaper at 2.9 so many times. He just did it again a week and a half ago.
Yeah,
And I love you, Jay, and he's a
yeah, we
great
love you,
dude.
man.
Thanks for putting that out there, dude. That's awesome of you.
Yeah,
And but yeah, just Jay Fowler is about as tough as they get, man. That's all I can
yeah,
say. I don't know any
absolutely.
more I can put to it than that. But
Uh,
to
yeah,
go through everything he's gone through and just to come out positive takes a self awareness and a moral center that's just
yeah,
missing in a lot of people, and it's great to see people know
yeah,
and care about Jay's story. And he's always on the cusp of his medical condition. He's always on the cusp of homelessness. He's always on the cusp of not being able to go to the doctor. So the donations really matter. And he's a
yeah.
kind of guy. He doesn't like to talk about that stuff because he feels like
Right.
he doesn't like to take a handout. But
Yeah,
if anyone deserves a handout or just a hand up, some Jay's done so much tremendous stuff. He's earned way more than that. So if he can help out,
yeah.
it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, thegreatfowler.com. Again, thegreatfowler.com. BJ writes for SE Scoops. You could also read his stuff on bbethel.substack.com. You could also hear him here on the State of Wrestling. Man, we do so much here. BJ, I
Yeah,
love having you, man.
thanks,
Just
man. I
talk about tough
appreciate it.
guys. We actually, as I catch you, shout out to you, Ruben. Thank you for loaning me BJ for as long as you've had loaned him to me for. Well, once again, thegreatfowler.com. That'll be linked in the episode description. Jay, I want you to know this. I know you listen. Thank you for listening, by the way, Jay. We love you, man, and we're rooting for you. We're always on your side. So I just want to let you know that, man. So from the prescription, from Larry, from BJ. Uh, enjoy this episode as we talk one of the most violent fights ever in mixed martial arts: Takayama versus Frye. Happy Pride, guys. Pride never dies. Enjoy Don Frye's mustache. Thank you very much, and you'll be hearing from us.
To rap what key beat to lock. We beat to rap what key beat to lock.
What's my favorite word?
Bitch. Hey, yo, what's up? This is Dr. Lariat. I got with me here one of the most promising big boys out there on the independent wrestling scene. I got with me from Oaktown, from East Oakland, specifically East Oakland. I got with me Alpha Zoe. Bro, you're gonna be down in SoCal for some stuff, right?
Yeah, for in Chino, July 17th, I'll be at Winter Circle Pro. August 29th, I will be at Epic Pro at Baldwin Park. So those are the two shows you can catch me at pretty soon.
Yeah. I, that's actually close to where I'm from. I'm from SoCal. Baldwin Park is actually that's where my Lola was at. That's where I would spend all my
Mm.
weekends. Yeah, and obviously pro wrestling has always been big here in SoCal. It's always nice to have uh, you know, Bay Area dudes come down here, get some work in. Who are you working on? What's the big match on that you're gonna be working?
Well, at Winter Circle is to be announced right now, but at Epic Pro, me and Bad Dude Tito are going to be running them ones over there in Baldwin Park. We were the first match announced for the new venue. So it's
Yo,
going to be Alphazo versus Bad Dude Tito for the first
Alpha
time,
Zo.
one-on-one.
Yo, that's a clash of kaijus. Baldwin Park, I've seen my fair amount of scraps over in Baldwin Park. Shout out to Sierra Vista High School. But I got I got Alpha Zo here. I know I'm looking forward to that match because
not only is Alpha Zoe one of my favorite talents right now on the independents, we got
Why,
Bad Dude
thank you.
Tito doing big things out here in the world of wrestling. You know, MLW, CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you know, not to underrate my Mozo here. He's always he's working all the independents out there. You know, the West Coast Pro. You know, you might have even seen this dude work Marvelous and Noah. That's right. He was in the Emerald Ring, my dude. That's
Mm-hmm.
we got a couple of we got a couple of two Japanese experienced wrestlers here about to go out of here in my small town of Baldwin Park. Again, Chino Hills on July 17th, and we got Baldwin Park over in August 29th. I'm looking forward to seeing you those days, man. This is phenomenal stuff, and you know, shout out to you. Hope that 6 hour drive from the Bay ain't too bad. You know, I always want to ask
Shit.
this, like when you drive down, right? What's your pit stop food like before you like hit LA? Like what's your like thing that you stop at to like get something to eat?
To be honest, I just get protein chips and protein, anything protein based, and water and
Hey,
an energy drink. I don't really
hey,
actually like buy food. Sometimes I actually bring my meal prep with me. So
hey, that's professional wrestling. That's some healthiness right there. But yeah, thank you, man. I can't wait to see you, bro. Again, that's gonna be July 17th and August 29th. Come out, come out to Chino, come out to Ballin Park,
slide,
see your boy Alpha Zoe,
slide,
watch him hit that lariat, that side. Oh
mm,
man, talk about one of the
sidewinder.
best lariats and really the sidewinder. This man here, gotta love it. All right, thanks, Zoe.
No problem, dog.
Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, we're gonna have a high kickstart here because this is Doc, aka the world's most flagrantly dangerously cheesy man, aka um Bakayama, aka Bob Sapp's hairdresser, aka your host. And we're here on SMES where we watch the best in pro wrestling. But of course, this is the shoot style version. And that's why you heard that really cool Pancrase theme. And joining me today is a big, huge Japanese wrestling fan, author, doctor, fellow doctor. I have with me here Dr. John Foye. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. It's been a crazy couple of weeks here, but it's I'm looking forward to finally getting a chance to watch what we're going to be watching today. Been hanging out for that.
Yeah, man. And I just wanted to do this with you because we've been trying to get back together on doing this as you know things happen. But you in between the last time we talked, where you had the Kickstarter, your book just finally came out. What's the name of your book, man?
So that is Freedom and Faith. It's not a right wing podcast book. It just but it's to do with Masao's tradition of if you have the belief in yourself and if you believe you can do something and you take responsibility for your own actions, he'd be willing to let you do it in Noah. So about the history of pro wrestling Noah from 2000 to 2021. And yeah, just very stoked that this is finally out. I've been waiting for this to come out for a long, long time now.
Yeah, you know, I've been talking with the people that love Noah, the two hosts that Kick Out 2.99, Rachel, and I hope they really because I know you reached out to them for the book for some information, and I was happy to see that you did thank them in your book. I'm happy that was there.
I want to say this too. Like, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of big historical Japanese pro wrestling books out there that cover it the way that you had. Like, that was that in depth with it. And then, of course, the cover art was super cool. Love the cover art, man. But you know, you also had the previous book on Bare, which I'm in the process of reading, and it's also excellent. Well, I know we did the show where we talked about like you getting into pro wrestling, Noah. But what was the goal of this book?
So, first of all, thanks a lot. Yeah. So if you look at kind of like Ganbaru, the Muto years, it's kind of all of these years and these events from the perspective of what was happening in All Japan Pro Wrestling at the time. So I thought this one would kind of be what was happening on the other side of the fence, so to speak, what was happening in Noah. And so I loved Noah. That was my introduction to Hero, really. If you go back far enough, it was one of the first ones I watched, and without any context to it at all. So part of it too is just wanting to mine somewhere else I hadn't really, we've all heard the history, we've all heard the gist of what happened there, but I think there's a lot more to it than just that, which I think we all understand. I think we all get to that. There's a cultural barrier there, there's a language barrier, and there'll be just certain bits and pieces and details that we might miss just on the first reading of the history, so to speak. So getting to mine that again and doing something slightly different like that. Plus, yeah, there's so much more that I even could have touched on that I've learned since. Like, just, yeah, it's 26-year-old company now. So there's so much more I could have gone into and stuff that, yeah, it was amazing between all these people. So glad to have kind of had that chance. And I've got another book that's coming up later too with Fumi Saito on All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling. That's again just a very disappointing history, another company still. So yeah, just stuff I love to write about and research really. Took me a while to realize it would be this interesting to write about something I love that much. I'm surprised it took me that long really to figure that out, but definitely something like, you write about pro wrestling, you end up writing about history, writing about, culture, so much other stuff that you can go into here.
Yeah, I cannot wait to talk to Fumi. Because I know just probably this might come out before or after, but like Jim Valley and Fumi are gonna come on to talk about the J Crown. That's
Nice.
something me and you talked about. We'll talk about that later on. And also I can't wait to talk to Fumi about some All Japan women stuff because he is just one of the few people from that era that is still around today that speaks English. So not too many people there willing to talk, honestly. And Fumi is one of those guys. But today we are here to talk about one of the most legendary fights of all time. Yeah, we're talking about Yoshihiro Takayama versus Don Frye. What do you know about this match?
So I know that for Takayama to go into Pride, and Pride, a lot of what they were doing was basically the presentation of pro wrestling anyway in the MMA setting. So a lot of the things that they did in the way that they set these fights up and the way they promote them and the way the whole thing looks is very, very similar to pro wrestling. And I know Takayama got his release from Noah to be able to compete in MMA. So this fight, the thing that really set him off as a big star in Japan, and just the people know him so well today, that kind of he stepped away from Noah full time, but ended up wrestling in Noah, wrestling in All Japan, and competing as well in MMA still. So at this point, this is the fight that really makes his name. I wouldn't want to say a household name, but definitely a well-known figure in Japanese society in general. And I've not seen this one. Like I said to you before, I have never seen this one from start to finish before. I've always seen the gifts. I've always seen, that 30-second clip that everyone plays on the anniversary of this fight. So
Yeah.
excited to sit through the full thing, right?
Yeah, it's going to be cool to sit through the full thing. Of course, this is coming from Pride Fighting Championship 21 from June 23rd, 2020. 2002. Damn, 2002, bro. That's 24 years ago. Live from the Saitama Sumo Arena in Japan. I am very excited to talk about this because, Don Frye, of course, just to connect this to wrestling and all the wrestling. Don Frye, of course, coming from the UFC, going into New Japan Pro Wrestling, having that big run there with Team 2000. He transfers over to All Japan, has that match with Toshiaki Kawada, one of my favorite wrestlers, and absolutely brutalizes him. It doesn't look like a wrestling match. It looked like a fight.
Yeah.
Especially like when he gets him in the corner and just destroys Kawada with knees. The ref breaks it up and Kawada goes for like a desperate double, but it's Don Frye, college wrestler. You're not gonna take Don Frye down. Oh man, if people want to watch that, go watch that. Maybe we'll call that too. But we're here to talk about Takayama. Takayama has some shooting credentials. People would know him from UWFI, the reboot in the 90s, when he had those Davey Boy Smith braids. Also, he also coincidentally also had his first match in All Japan with Kawada. And it's funny that they have that link there. This match came, of course, after he had left Pride. And the guys at Pride Deep Stage, they love their pro wrestling. And this would be a big pro wrestling match. We have Don Frye versus Takayama. Don Frye, he was a main eventer for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's coming off here of challenge. Let me see when that match was actually before I start saying he came off challenging for the Triple Crown, because I'm gonna see when that was. Yeah. Well, what is your memories of Don Frye, if you have it?
So, that match that you mentioned against Kawada, so that's, if I remember correctly, that's Kawada's first defense or close to it.
Yeah,
when
that's afterwards. This was the title match was after the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Crazy match. Crazy. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
There's also I was trying to remember this. I had to look this up because you kind of hear someone's been in something and you kind of memory hole it. I forgot that he was in an episode of one of my favorite shows at the moment. I haven't got to this episode yet, but It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was a guest star in that.
Oh, yeah.
Same episode as Roddy Piper.
Oh, the Birds of War. Ah, the Birds of Thunder. Oh, okay, yeah. But we're also men. Oh yeah, he's like in the front row, and okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. Now that you just opened the memory hole for me. Don Frye and Dan the B7 talk about two mustaches. Don Frye probably has one of the most. If we're gonna rank wrestling mustaches, we got Don Frye, we got Hiroshi Hase, we got Rick Rude, and we have Dan Severn. So, of those four, who would you rank first?
I think you have to go Severn. I think Frye is pretty close, right? Like,
yeah.
I think also I read this a little whiles ago. I had to confirm it because I was driving me nuts. There was a Final Fight movie that a fan made where he like man Mike Hager in that.
Okay, that's perfect.
That's just he was like, when you look at his film credentials, it's like, yeah, he was in It's Always Sunny and he was in a fan film for Final Fight. I'm like, yeah, this man has the perfect film resume, right?
Yeah, just look at him, man. And then, like, of course, here in Pride, we didn't really have testing back in 2002. There's no USADA in Japan. I believe, like, when we hear, like even in The Rock's movie Smashing Machine, they're like, maybe steroid, good. And
man, just there's like a one scene where they kind of have he has to inject Bus with something because Bus is having what feels like a heart attack, if I remember that correctly. And it's like, does it imply that he was still using, but doesn't go all the way to say that he wasn't? I kind of missed. I feel like there's three quarters of a good movie in that movie. Like they edited something out, or they were too head on with the process. But there's definitely like implies something right there.
Yeah. I enjoy that movie. There's something about Pride where, fucking it's so stupid that UFC and Dana White is doing the smoking bingo hall shit with MMA in Japan. There's no such thing as MMA in Japan. There's no big stars in what you. And then if you really look at it, Ryzen has had some of the biggest attendances. Uh, and you, and like I really hate that TKO tries to destroy and tries to own the history of both pro wrestling and MMA, and now they're trying to own the history of boxing. And I'm gonna say it right here, folks. Fuck TKO. I do not appreciate that. I do not like people trying to change the script, trying to like control history and telling all these lies. This is why we have so many people on social media talking about, there was no good wrestling before 1987. And I'm like, that's, have you never watched, Antonio Inoki versus Tiger Jeet Singh fill out these arenas? Like, have you never seen Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. have like an entire like Budokan try to like cheer them on as they fought Stan Hansen and Brody Bruiser Brody? Like this is insane. And I just want to stand here and say like, no, that's not right. There's this history that's not being talked about. And when we're gonna go here and you see this Pride 23, you're gonna see a sold out Saitama Super Arena, like to the rafters. I believe that's what the old heads in wrestling say, and I can't wait to watch that. And so this is your first time watching it outside of the gifs, outside of the the 30-second Instagrams or TikToks where people talk over it. I think it's gonna be fun. And we're just going to start that right now. So let me just go on. You guys will hear that on the other side. We are back for like nothing happened. So this is the first time you're watching this match, John. I cannot wait to watch this with you, man. This is insane, and I was checking that you're still here, but I'm about to press play from the Saitama Super Arena Pride. Was it Pride 21? Let's see before I really talk on that. Yeah, so we are back here from Pride 21 from the Saitama Super Arena in Tokyo, Japan. Don Frye versus Yoshihiro Takayama. Super no vacancy. I forgot to ask, man, are you a big MMA fan?
So until the UFC started really watering it down and kind of killing things, like they killed my interest, basically. I was a big fan sort of around 2013, 2014. And it's just it strikes me that it's just killed my interest. Everything that TKO has done, everything that they've kind of done to make it like there's another UFC show every other week. I just can't get into it anymore after all that stuff. The kind of the right wing politics.
Everybody tries to be Colby Covington or Scott, Sean Strickland, just absolute pieces of shit.
And it's like, look, talk as much shit as you guys want to. Feel free to have whatever your views are. I'm just not going to watch anymore. Like that. That's very build what is a very, I think, beautiful thing in terms of just martial arts and just kind of the way that you kind of, it's like pro wrestling, you can get into it on the surface level and watch it, and then you end up going down a big rabbit hole when you learn about, this hold that this guy's using here, or you learn about this fighter where he fought before and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunately killed my interest, but something like Pride, I'd definitely always be up for watching.
Oh yeah, man. I used to train a lot. I'm gonna plug the gym I was at. Millennia MMA, Rancho Cucamonga, Chino Hills. Pretty good fighters there. We got the Monsoon, Lorenz Larkin there. We have Tatiana Suarez that fights out of there. We have, people that came and trained with us, guys like Cub Swanson, guys like Shinya Aoki, guys like Scorpio Sky from
Oh, nice.
PWG. Also one of my favorite training partners, of course, Marina Shafir. Uh, just absolutely. I love training when I could train before I got injured. It was pretty much my life from 2011 up to the pandemic. I would do a lot of tournaments, a lot of grappling tournaments. I loved grappling Naga. I love grappling in the mundials. When I was a kid, I actually did full contact taekwondo because we are too fat for football, and that goes for football Americano, because that's what the coach said to me and my brother when my dad tried to sign us up. And I remember my dad saying, uh, fuck you, my boys are going to learn how to fight then. And then we went to, we signed up to Taekwondo, and he found us like the most, he wanted to find, because my dad was like a cop, right? So like he wanted to find us like the most legit Taekwondo guys. He'd go to other cops, and our teachers ended up being like former Korean military. So he was like perfect. And so I've been like a lifelong martial artist, and you know, martial arts has been something that I've actually loved watching when I grew up. But I'm not just talking about like actual fighting, like Pancrase, UFC, Pride, No Holds Barred, any of that stuff. I love that stuff. But I'm talking about, I love martial arts movies, the movies of Donnie Yen, of Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, of course, the ultimate Bruce Lee, uh, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think Jean-Claude Van Damme is one of the big reasons why I love MMA. Because I mean, you watch Kickboxer and you watch Bloodsport. How can you not, man?
Yeah, of
You ever
course,
watch
right? Like
Bloodsport?
I that was so I was in primary school when that came out, and it was one of those, movies that everyone in the playground talks about and raves about as being the best thing you've ever seen. Very little can compete with that, I think, right? Like, I love Jackie Chan as well. That was one that would get the SBS here did a bunch of really great, like, they would do the translations themselves. They would do the subtitles, and they had the big text that you could actually read. Like, the VHSs were terrible in those days, so I
Yeah.
remember that best way to watch Jackie Chan movies. Yeah, it would be like Channel 3 here.
Yeah, I remember also like Who Am I and Mr. Nice Guy were filmed in
Yep,
Australia.
yep.
Dude, that scene where he has like fights with the ladder and has a ladder match. I'm so
Yeah,
surprised nobody in wrestling has tried to redo that. Like we've had so many ladder matches with so many guys that pretty much could. Come on, people, do the Jackie Chan spots. Jump through the ladder, pick it up. And Jackie Chan does the Terry Funk ladder on the head, spin around spot.
yeah.
I'm sure Jackie saw like the Terry Funk do that. But yeah, we're here to talk Pride. We're here to talk MMA. But also, if this is coming out in June, happy Pride Month, guys. So
Excellent,
let me go ahead.
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let me go ahead and push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play.
I'm gonna his music again.
That's a man right there. Look at Don Frye.
40 pounds.
And let's see if he can do it again.
That's
That guy right there. Looks to be Takayama.
I believe the announcers for this are Sean Wheelock and Boss Rule.
It's not going to stick it. It's just not going to go back. No, they're going to go forward. Now, when we were talking with Takayama, oh, look at this. When we were talking with Takayama, we were teasing him,
Look at that stare down, man.
and he said that he
Look at that.
being a rock and roll guitar player
Yeah.
when he was a teenager. And, okay. You think about Don Frye and Takayama.
Referee right-
What's that?
the poor little referee right in the middle here.
They just
25,
make the
like-
referee look so tiny.
It's just a normal sized guy, you know. He's like 5'9" or something.
But Takayama, people don't really get that he's like legit 6'4". He's a giant, man. Oh, there we go. Right away.
Wait.
Oh,
I like how he just pressed his face and doesn't say mind at all.
yeah. It seems like it's just a walk in the park for these two, you know?
He's not even trying
Just
to block.
right there. We're just trading pot shots. You know, they're fighting like two women at a bar in Adelaide right now, you know.
Or at Waffle House or something.
Yeah, bro. That's the style. You grab the hair and then you just unleash. We watch World Star get pop. Short knees here by Takayama. Got him against the corner with over-unders. Don Frye doesn't seem to be in any real danger here. But, you know, that first blast of energy, they look completely shot now.
Yeah, I can't blame them. Takayama bleeding already.
Yeah. And we talk about like it's not the conditioning because these guys are well conditioned. It's that adrenaline dump from that first burst. If you're not good at conserving that, you will burn out your muscles and you get that lactic acid buildup.
Oh, he has to be gassed.
Oh, great takedown by big knee.
That was perfectly legal in Fried as well. You're perfectly allowed to do a knee down opponent to the head.
Yeah, look at that. Just trading again.
They had that short break in the corner. I was back at it.
We'll take a little tiny thing right here. I do love airheads, but what do you think about the fight so far, man?
Oh, I very impressed with that opening stretch. So it reminded me of another fight that everyone raved about that I didn't think it was that great, but that everyone was raving about was years later. Well, I just kept Clay Guida against. I can't remember Clay Guida's opponent in that kind of spot. Oh, it's 5 bucks and 2.
Yeah,
That maybe Takayama's done.
look at that! Look at that mouse on Takayama. These short knees are not gonna hurt. They're not gonna like be debilitating, but they just suck to take. Don Frye easily just getting in the corner. He's looking to move and reverse Takayama as he's holding the hips.
It doesn't look particularly bothered by anything that's happening to him.
And Don Frye now has double unders, which if you're grappling, you know, this is one of the best things to have when you are standing. Oh, short uppercut right there. The thing about the long hair that Takayama has is it makes every short shot look like it's hitting harder than it is.
All that knee.
You know that Takayama in pro wrestling is known for that dynamic knee. And Don Frye is just eating all of them.
Yes.
I love the No Fear tights because, of course, Takayama team No Fear.
Along with
I used to wear No
Mori.
Fear shirts. Yeah. Because in MMA back then, you either wore no fear, you wore tap out, or you wore bad boy shorts.
Well, this is the American flag, as Don Frye has it.
Hey, yeah, dude. He represents America to the fullest. You follow his social media, you can hear what he says about immigrants like myself.
Oh, jeez.
Hey.
As long as he's getting punched in the head or punching someone else in the head.
And CTE seems to be a link between conservatism and a lot of things,
There's got to be a study in that, right? Someone just do that.
Yeah.
Get called death.
Man, they are in the corner.
Takayama has to be feeling gaps right now.
Oh man, that's a shame, huh? That's an insane first round, man. My God.
That's the thing. Like, Frye's obviously, way ahead. Obviously won that, but just what I love about Takayama is how he's just
Good God.
just sticking right in there. Look at that.
They're sending him back.
Yep.
Man, look at his face. He does not look oof.
Back to exchanging.
Takayama looking like a garbage pail kid. Oof.
His game plan is to not get hurt by Takayama. That announcing right there.
That's a good bit of announcing there. They talked a bit about Takayama being a classic car collector, right? With having one Chevelle. You know about the Akira Taue white Akira Taue wore the Corvette jackets, right?
Yep. Oh.
You try to take down, and sometimes when you do that, you end up like that. Now he has him in a top wrist lock. That is not a good place to be against a wrestler. Never want to be on your back. And now he's gonna lock up.
Yeah. One time I tried this takedown, it ended the exact same way.
You have to step between their legs and make sure you really pop your hip. But if the guy is smart enough, he'll just position himself so that he can land on top. And that's like an all or nothing takedown. There you go. Just smashing him with hammer fists. There it is. It's all over, folks. It is all over. Well, Don Frye gave him that little belly pat of like respect.
Yeah.
Good God. Holy cow. Six minutes and 10 seconds. That felt way longer.
And he survived that first round and stayed in there for every second of that.
No. He had 3 more fights after this. Takayama is 0-4 in MMA. But after this, I believe he went on to win the GHC, the IWGP, and the Triple Crown.
Including a really, really awesome match. Doesn't get the love it deserves against Tijuana.
Yeah.
But they try to replicate some of these moments from this. GHD title fight against Misawa.
Yeah. All right. Just establishing, just basing here and just throwing like these rights and lefts from the top. Referee could have jumped in sooner, but they gave Takayama every chance to fight out.
Yeah. Big fight like this too, they want to give him as much weight. Who's that in his corner? Is that I barely recognize him. Okay.
Kiyoshi Tamura.
The tears and the blood in this shot. Like just
Man.
I do not love this guy.
Nobody films like Dream Stage Entertainment for MMA. Look at the disappointment, but that's a warrior. Good God, man. He came in without any thoughts of self-preservation.
There was not even any attempt to block any of these shots right here. He just went straight into the clinch as soon as he could. And he's just trading right here.
The thing is, he looks like he's throwing all these shots, but Don Frye looks completely unmarked. Well, I mean, he has a little bit of a swelling there, but
yeah, Don Frye had that big cut on his forehead at one point. Oh, what was this? As far as damage grade, he's very one-sided.
Yeah. Man, I absolutely love that, man. That was an insane fight. I love having Dr. John here to talk some insane pro wrestling with me. Also, this is actually, what we would call pro wrestling as a shoot. But I mean, you watch Pride, right? And it looks like pro wrestling because it's filmed like pro wrestling, and this is the match featuring two pro wrestlers. The downfall of Pride kind of also coincides with the first real downfall of pro wrestling Noah, with both of them sort of being tied to, the underworld. You have anything to say about that, John? Or
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's right there in the book as well. I go into that, but definitely with the Noah scandal with the tickets being bought by the Yakuza who then went to help people using it to persuasive tech. And I think Antonio Inoki had something to do actually with the downfall of Pride. Like he was promoting his own shows on New Year's Eve. That pissed off one section of the Yakuza who were not involved. They were kind of cut out of it, whereas another section of the Yakuza were directly involved. So that led to some infighting in the Yakuza, and that exposed the entire thing as far as Dream Stage being funded part by Yakuza money. So as soon as that came to light, it was basically over very quickly. UFC eventually stepped in, bought everything. They didn't get the contracts to the big stars from Pride there. They didn't bring in, it was much like the purchase of WCW. They didn't bring in Ingelenko, Fedor. Basically just a not as big a news story as you thought it would be when UFC could purchase Pride. But yeah, just very sad to see where things ended up with the UFC. I'm not a big fan nowadays, but absolutely looking at something like this, incredible fight. It's cool why people love MMA so much just by watching them. And the whole thing's over in 6 minutes too, like 6.5 minutes, something like that.
yeah, I think getting in and out, it makes this so much more palatable.
Can you imagine if this one went the distance or something like that?
Oh my God. Like, if this went the 10 minutes, I don't know, like, if he would have had that run by Takayama after this. But, he did have a run after that. Like I said, he's one of the few guys who won the IWGP, the GHC Heavy, and the Triple Crown. And of course, as we move on, to the future, post this match, he had an accident in the ring, just doing a simple bump, like a sunset flip, and then he's been paralyzed since. He's had those shows like the Takayama Manias that sort of have been a godsend for him. They just released this year more DLC for Takayama Mania, which I thought is pretty cool. Takayama, absolutely one of the legends of Japanese pro wrestling. One of the legends of pro wrestling in general. Just a great career in pro wrestling, starting in UWF to All Japan to Noah to New Japan to back to All Japan. And ever in between, also he had those movies. I really liked seeing him in Chrome Marty High, classic gag manga with a guy who looks like Freddie Mercury, who really looks like Don Frye. So, and I remember in the movie they had a spot where they like stared at each other. So, I think that people don't. He was on the ballot for the Wrestling Observer News Hall of Fame this past year, and he's going to be on there again. I think he deserves to be on the ballot based on like his accomplishments and him as a draw and him as like a personality on Japanese TV, where like he would be, the wrestlers on the TV are him, Makabe, and Kensuke. Those are the guys who would always be on the variety shows.
He's also in a movie I didn't expect to talk about today, but one of my other all-time favorites by Martin Scorsese, Silence. He's a god in that one.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely
like,
great, man.
How many times can you talk about one person and say he did MMA? Was the first guy, I believe. If it was him or Kensuke first, it's also the Japanese Martin Scorsese movie. That's Mishmay. I don't think there's an argument against him being a Hall of Famer. That's just me.
Absolutely, man. Want to say thank you for coming on here for this. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Dr. John. From one doc to another. I always enjoy having you here because I love having this cultural exchange. We're basically from two different parts of the globe, from LA to Australia. Thank you for coming on here, man, and sharing this time with me. I really appreciate it. Really informative, real fun stuff. I'm reading both of your books, Ganbare and Faith and Freedom, but I want to give you the stage again to like promote those books, and people should get them.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It's been a blast. I love that fight too. Thank you very much for showing me that and giving me the chance to talk about it. Feels like finally like half of my reactions they're going, oh shit, like look at that. It's so incredible. But yeah, very much always a great time to be on here. And appreciate everything you're doing. As far as the books go, you can find them on Amazon, Freedom and Faith and Ganbaru and the Muto Years are all available now. It's just been great to see people's reactions to it. Now it's finally available after what feels like forever been waiting. So great to get that out there and just great to be on here again.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for this. Dr. John Foye, follow him on all his social media, buy his book. And as always, thank you for coming here. I appreciate this. It's been a long time coming to have you on for the second time. And I appreciate you for coming here, man. Absolutely love that. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks again.
And as I say to all my fans out there, that's so weird for me to say, but I do have fans. See you next time.
It was a clear afternoon, the hose was out. Sliding up Cashmere, bro just got out. Bought him shoes and clothes, a zipper drove. A couple $100, then he knocked him a go. I'm macking on the bitch cause it's necessary. She bought a nigga Gucci and Cartier. I'm tryna go to Boston, there's money there. I'm rolling up a chop in a barber chair. Sprinter van with the TV. Every real P need one of these. I'm from the slums, but shit can get real. You gotta be from the Bay to know how I feel. I'm not famous, I'm just a real ass nigga. Who needs a record deal when you know how to get it? They tryna book Uncle Larry overseas, but for that, bitch, I need 20 G's. Smoking on a chop with the top down.